All right. Let me get started here by introducing our speaker tonight, Jamie Miles. Jamie Miles works as a Preservation Programs Associate at the Cleveland Restoration Society. She joined the CRS staff in September 2019 and works with the Preservation Services Department, assisting CRS's programming and services offered to their community partners. Jamie is a graduate of Case Western Reserve University's Art History BA program and is currently working on her MA in Historic Preservation at Ursuline College. She previously worked as an intern for the City of Cleveland Heights' Department of Planning and Development. Jamie lives in the Old Brooklyn neighborhood of Cleveland and in her free time enjoys exploring Cleveland and the surrounding areas by bike. Welcome, Jamie. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for introducing me and everything, and for the library for conducting this presentation. So thank you so much, and thank you for everyone for attending tonight. So this presentation is entitled Historic Districts. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about historic districts in general, what it means to be a historic district, the different kinds of historic districts that are out there, and then also a little bit about historic districts in Cleveland Heights and what that means as well. Just so you get a little bit of an introduction to our organization, the organization that I'm from, the Cleveland Restoration Society. We are the largest non-governmental historic preservation organization in Ohio. We were founded in 1972. We're headquartered in Cleveland's Midtown neighborhood at the historic Sarah Benedict House, which you see in the photo there. We're on the Prospect Avenue Historic District, if you're familiar with that. We have over a $1 million operating budget with 34 trustees and over 14 staff members and over 1,000 members. So we are a kind of a small but mighty organization. Our mission statement: we use the powerful tool of historic preservation to revitalize our diverse communities, strengthen the regional economy, and enhance the quality of life in Northeastern Ohio. So just to get us started off, generally, what is a historic district, you may be wondering? So plain and simple, a historic district could be defined as a group of buildings, properties, or sites that have been designated by one of several entities as historically or architecturally significant. So generally within a historic district, structures are divided into two different categories, contributing buildings and non-contributing buildings. So a contributing building would be those that are defined as contributing to whatever is the defining characteristic of that district. Or a non-contributing building might be a building that was built, might be built within the last 10 years, while all the rest of the other buildings in the district are much older, something like that. Districts can vary greatly in size, from just like a couple houses on a street or all the way up to like an entire section of a city or a whole neighborhood. It's also based on the density of significant structures in a given area. So therefore, an area with a lot of historic buildings is more likely to become a historic district than an area that has only kind of a spotty number of historic buildings. Historic districts important. These are just a couple reasons. Fostering a sense of community in the neighborhood. They can help to educate residents and visitors about the area's history. They help to encourage the preservation of historic architectural fabric and maintaining the general look and feel of an area that so many people appreciate. They can help to increase property values by sort of honoring and saying like, hey, this is an important area. And they can also help to enhance the local economy, specifically with commercial historic districts. They can create the possibility of historic tax credits for rehabilitation of commercial buildings. So in this photo here, or these photos, I should say, I have some examples of historic districts in the city of Cleveland, which you might recognize. I have Playhouse Square, we see the West Side Market District area, and then we have a historic photo here of Little Italy. Those are all very super well-known historic districts. So two types of historic designation. We have the National Register of Historic Places, and then we also have state and local designations. These are two different types of historic designation as historic districts. So first, let's talk about the National Register. So if you are a National Register Historic District, it's an honorific title. It is operated by the National Park Service. So therefore, because it's honorific, it doesn't really protect against private demolition or alteration. So for example, if you own a property in a National Register district, or you are a National Register landmark, you as a private owner would be able to demolish your property. It doesn't prevent that or restrict that in any way. However, it does trigger special planning and consideration if the property is affected by federal projects. What the National Register does do, however, is if there's a commercial property that is on the National Register or in a National Register Historic District, it makes available tax credits for those commercial properties. And finally, it does not make the property locally designated. So just like the local designation doesn't make a property on the National Register, the National Register doesn't make the property locally designated. They're two separate designations. So then let's go over to the state and local designation type. A state and local historic district or landmark does not automatically list a property on the National Register. It is established by local ordinance, so therefore the designation is protected by law, and therefore because it's for local ordinance, the process, procedure, and protections all depend on the specific location that you're talking about. So any local landmarking or historic districts in Cleveland Heights are going to have different rules from local landmarkings or historic districts in the city of Cleveland or other suburbs. Generally, it comes with the creation of a design review board, and all changes to designated properties require review and approval by the design review board. And I'll get a little bit more into how that works for Cleveland Heights in a minute. So just kind of to enforce the point that National Register districts and local historic districts are not the same. However, some historic districts can be designated as both, but they don't necessarily, one doesn't necessarily mean that the other one is involved. So just a little bit more specific about the National Register historic districts. There are 5 general categories for National Register listings, and these can be either, like I said, buildings, structures, sites, objects, and districts. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about districts, but you might note that things that can also be listed on the National Register are individual buildings or structures, or like archaeological sites, or maybe like public art sculptures could also be on the National Register, things like that. But there are 3 evaluation standards that properties must meet in order to be listed on the National Register. It has to be at least at 50 years old, retain its basic historic integrity, and then meet one of 4 established National Register criteria. So it has to either be significant for its association with what they say broad patterns of history, have association with life of persons significant in our past, have architectural merit, or have the potential to yield information, which is kind of like archaeological potential, basically. So it has to have one of those 4 things, be at least 50 years old, and have its basic historic integrity intact. So how does a property or district get on the National Register? Well, the process varies by state. In Ohio, anyone can complete an application to nominate a property or a district. So, for example, if you thought your house was eligible to be on the National Register of Historic Places, you would fill out a questionnaire, and then you would submit that to the State Historic Preservation Office of Ohio. And then they would look at your questionnaire, and they would see if they think you're eligible or not. If they think that you might be eligible, they'll invite you to go ahead and fill out an application. And then you go through this application process where you kind of go back and forth with the state. They comment, they kind of help you edit your application. And then it finally goes to the advisory board. They'll approve it and they'll send it to the National Park Service. And then you'll be officially approved by the National Park Service and designated as a National Register district or building. Process is pretty involved and a lot of research required to get on the National Register. And this is in the city of Cleveland. I just wanted to use this as an example. These are the National Register districts in the city of Cleveland in the gray. And then this is a map that shows in Cleveland the National Register districts in the gray and then districts in the brown. So you can see that it's pretty interesting that they're not all the same boundaries. They're generally some of the areas are the same, but they can be slightly different because they go through different review processes, different applications, different research to create the historic districts. So it's just kind of a cool map, in fact, that was available. So there are National Register historic districts you may have seen before with the signs that are around the city. This is a list of them. We have Ambler Heights, Demings Forest Hill, Yucca Golf, Euclid Heights, Fairhill Road, Fairmount Boulevard, Herrick Mews, Inglewood, Rockefellers Forest Hill, Shaker Farm, and Shaker Village. These are all districts, areas that are listed on the National Register in Cleveland Heights. So kind of shifting gears and talking about local historic districts. So like I said before, local historic districts are established through a local ordinance. So the designation is protected by law. The process depends on the location. Not all local historic districts have a design review process, but many do. Cleveland Heights does. And kind of like I said, they have the ability to offer stronger of historic character than the National Register does, just because it is protected by law. Oh, here we go. So the Cleveland Heights Landmarks Ordinance and Commission. The Cleveland Heights Landmark Ordinance and Commission was established in 1973, and the ordinance is available to read online, which is kind of fun. If you are a little bit nerdy about that, you can see all of the things that are kind of established with that ordinance. The commission consists of 7 members who are at least 5-year residents and have 3-year terms, and they're appointed by city council. The ordinance establishes a process for designation of landmarks and districts, and then also a design review process, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about. Currently, there are over 50 individual landmarks protected by ordinance in Cleveland Heights. I have an image here, 2 images actually, of the most recent one, which you may have heard, the Medusa Portland Cement Company building over kind of off of just north of Mayfield, kind of by Forest Hill Park is the building. And that over to the right, I have a historic photo of the inside, but it's a really awesome building. And it was just designated, I believe, in 2019 as a landmark in Cleveland Heights. So that's one of those 50 individual landmarks that are protected by ordinance in the city. The ordinance was amended in 2019 in order for the city to become a certified local government with the state of Ohio. And that amendment gave the ability for the Landmarks Commission to establish local historic districts in the city. Currently, however, there are no local historic districts, even though that the ability to do so, to establish a local historic district. Just so you know, there is a lot of information on the City of Cleveland Heights website about the history, the Landmarks Commission, the historic preservation in general. So if you are interested in checking that out, I highly recommend it. Just thought I'd throw that out there. So in the City of Cleveland Heights, I guess let me back up. Local design review. City of Cleveland Heights is one of those cities that does have a local design review process kind of packed into the landmarks ordinance. Just in general, local design review reviews exterior changes, new construction, and demolition for historic landmarks and districts. They use what is called the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation to review proposed exterior changes. And after using the Secretary of Interior Standards, the Commission will then issue certificates of appropriateness for approval or disapproval of those exterior changes or demolition. So this year, the city did a CLG, Certified Local Government Grant, to create historic preservation design guidelines. So they went through this big collaboration, which you may have kind of been familiar with the city, the Landmarks Commission, and a historic preservation consultant, and then the community. I know they had a number of meetings asking for community input, and they created these design guidelines, historic preservation design guidelines. And they're basically to kind of help owners of landmarks and then those in potential historic districts kind of know what kind of exterior changes the Landmarks Commission is going to be looking for, how to kind of make changes to the exterior of your historic home that are in line with its historic character, its architectural character. So if you look in the design guidelines, they kind of talk about different areas of Cleveland Heights, what kind of architectural styles are present, anywhere from, some of the more mid-century modern houses all the way, to some of the really high style older homes as well. So anywhere in between. So for that reason, it's a great resource, even if you don't live in a historic neighborhood in Cleveland Heights. Those design guidelines are a really good resource in general, just to be familiar with architectural style and what might be good for your house. So I highly recommend checking that out. They're available on the Cleveland Heights website as well. So like I was saying, exterior changes are subject to design review. So that includes things like siding, windows, roofs, porches, fences, and additions. Like I said, demolition and new construction. And they do follow those Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, which generally encourage things like repairing over replacing, replacing like with like if something does need to be replaced, and also encouraging high quality materials for preservation purposes. You're going to want to make sure that whatever changes you're making will last as long as possible and kind of continue to age along with the house. Just to kind of give you some more examples of historic districts that are in Cleveland, since local historic districts in Cleveland, because Cleveland Heights doesn't have any yet. There is the Prospect Avenue Historic District, Euclid Avenue, a number of historic districts downtown. This is just a sampling. We also have the Broadway East 55th area. That's another one. East Boulevard, and then Brooklyn Center, some that you might not be as familiar with. And then some other suburbs also have local historic districts. For example, the Butternut Ridge Historic District, Downtown Hudson is a local historic district, and then also Winslow Road and Shaker Square and Shaker Heights are local historic districts. And another thing I like to talk about in this presentation, because it's something a lot of people are curious about, are historic markers. So different kinds of historic markers that are out there. We have the big bronze Ohio historic markers, the one that you see in the bottom there, I think might be the newest one in Cleveland Heights. I just saw on the Historical Society Facebook page that's outside of the Pryor Stone House. I forget which is it on. I forget what street that's on, but I think it's the oldest house in Cleveland Heights. And they just added that Ohio historic marker like this week. So that's pretty awesome. But then we also have some cities have local historic district or landmark signage, like we see that Little Italy one. That's one of the City of Cleveland signs. But potentially if Cleveland Heights had a local historic district, they might also have a local historic district signage as well. There are also National Register plaques. If a house has gotten designated to the National Register, that homeowner might commission a plaque for their home that says that it's on the National Register. And then some homes also have century home plaques. And Cleveland Heights doesn't have those, I don't think, because most of the houses in Cleveland Heights, not all of them, but most of them I think are century homes at this point. So that would be, but some cities still have program century home plaques. And some people, think they want a historic plaque for their home. There are actually, you can just approach a plaque company and have a historic plaque made on your own, whether you're not, or not, you're actually designated as a landmark. So just kind of that tidbit. Cleveland Heights, like I said, doesn't have a century home plaque program, but does provide plaques for local landmarks. So if your home were to become a local landmark, you would get a plaque like you see in the corner there in the upper right. And then we also like to kind of talk about the Heritage Home Program, which is a program of Cleveland Restoration Society, because it is available for residents of Cleveland Heights. If you have a home that is 50 years old or older and you are in Cleveland Heights, you are eligible for the free technical assistance and also potentially for a low interest loan. Our free technical assistance comes as impartial advice with a preservation approach to maintenance, repair, and improvements. We offer site visits with specialists to review any and all issues in the home for free. We can help you with project prioritization. If you have a laundry list of things you're thinking about doing with your house, we can kind of help you decide what the most important things, the most pressing things are. We have contractor resources. If you're starting to look for contractors to do your project, we can help you kind of come up with some names to get you started on that search. And then we can also offer restoration guidance if you're thinking of kind of bringing your house back to what it may have looked like at one point, but you're not really sure where to start with that. We can kind of give you some guidance as well. And then, like I said, we also do offer low interest loans for financing repair projects. We have fixed rate financing as low as 2% to cover project costs for both interior and exterior projects. You can also do DIY projects or part DIY, part contractor projects with this. And then we do offer construction specifications for exterior projects because, again, since we're a preservation organization, we want to make sure that any exterior changes are appropriate with the character of the house. But you can do both interior and exterior projects if you're interested in the loan. And that's pretty much all I've got. So I would be happy to answer any questions. If at any point you would like to email me or call me to ask anything, if you think of something later, you are more than welcome to. I don't know, Jessica, how do we want to do questions?
There we go. All right. Well, that was a really wonderful presentation. I have not actually seen any questions come through the chat, so I'm not sure if people want to try to send through some questions now. Does anyone have anything they want to ask? Yeah, I don't see anything coming through.
That's okay. If anyone has any questions about...
Oh, wait, I spoke too soon. Okay, let's see.
Oh, okay.
Is University Heights one of the communities that can take advantage of these services?
They are. The University Heights is also participating. I should have said that too. But yes, we're in the Heritage Home Program.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think it's a really wonderful program, and I always try and talk it up at the library to get the word out there because it's just such a wonderful program to take advantage of.
It is. And we have you can just take advantage of our site visits and stuff completely for free just because you live in Cleveland Heights or University Heights. So it's pretty awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. That was really, there's always something that I don't know in the presentation, like the thing about getting your own plaque. I was like, I did not know that you could do that. That's pretty awesome. All right. I don't see any other questions, so I guess we will call it a night. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. Thank you, Jamie, so much for doing this program.
Thanks for inviting me, and thank you everyone so much for attending. I had a blast.
All righty. Have a nice night, everyone.
Okay. Thank you.
Good night.